Shiver me timbers. What a beautiful day it is. I've never felt so alive.
Hello world, hear the song that we're singing. Come on, get happy.
Get away from me, you annoying birds.
What's wrong, Captain?
Arrgh, where the hell have you guys been?
Sleep?
Arrgh, get back to work before I make you walk the plank. Oh yeah, I do have a crew in case anyone is wondering.
Can we at least say hi to the audience you're talking to?
No!
Hey there everybody, this is 22 Tiger Dude here, and I'm here to review Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. So Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales stars Johnny Depp, Kaya Scodelario, Brenton Thwaites, Geoffrey Rush, and Javier Bardem. So Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales tells the story of Captain Salazar, who is on the search for Captain Jack Sparrow. After Captain Salazar escapes from the Devil's Triangle with him and his crew, they are determined to kill every living pirate, including Captain Jack Sparrow himself. And the only way Captain Jack Sparrow is going to survive is if he goes out and finds the Trident of Poseidon. So Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales, you bet I was excited for this film because I am a huge fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Not so much on Stranger Tides, but the first film I think is absolutely fantastic. I love the first film, and I actually even really enjoyed 2 and 3. I was really hoping for that pirates magic to come back. I was like, okay, please bring back that magic. And for me at least, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales put this franchise back on track. I am so happy with this film. It has a great adventure to it. It brought back the characters, a lot of the characters that you didn't see in the fourth film. You're more at sea this time around, and the ship battles are actually back. Now, let's start off with Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Of course, I love seeing him as his character. Even on Stranger Tides, Jack Sparrow was still a lot of fun in that film, and that's no different here. There is a con I do have to Captain Jack Sparrow, but I will of course bring that up when I get to my cons. But Captain Jack Sparrow, even with that con I do have, he's still a great character. He's still a character I love watching. You could tell that Johnny Depp truly does still love playing this character, and it's definitely very present with Pirates of the Caribbean 5. And another character that has been in this franchise as long as Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow himself is Barbossa, played by Geoffrey Rush. Now, similar to Johnny Depp, he was also really good on Stranger Tides, and that's no different here with Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. Barbossa is still such a great character. He's really changed a lot since the first film. Like, there has definitely been a progression when it comes to this character, and you actually do get to learn something about Barbossa, which I wasn't really expecting, but it definitely added so much more to this character. Now, as for the new characters, we have Kaya Scodelario as Karina, and we have Brenton Thwaites as Henry Turner. Now, as far as Kaya Scodelario, these characters, you know, they're known as the new Will and Elizabeth, basically, which makes sense considering Henry Turner is Will and Elizabeth's son, but they're filling the shoes for Will and Elizabeth, and I have to say, just on their own, I thought these characters were actually really great. I could see how these characters aren't going to be well liked by everyone, but I personally did get behind these characters. I think even if they did fill in the shoes for Will and Elizabeth, and even have maybe little similarities to them, they did still carry their own. Kaya Scodelario as Karina, I thought she was a great character. She was strong, she was intelligent, she's a horror meteorologist, meaning someone that studies time, and there actually is a little running joke regarding her being like some witch according to the pirates. I did really like her. I thought Kaya did a really good job, and I know she's known for being in the Maze Runner movies and other stuff, but she did a really great job as Karina. She really did bring a lot to this character. And Brenton Thwaites as Henry Turner, he did a great job. I really did buy him as Will in Elizabeth's son. He was a really interesting character, and I could tell he was having a lot of fun with this role. Same with basically everyone else in this film. And speaking of Will Turner, he doesn't have a big part. However, his part in this film, for what he does have, is important to the story. And without really going into too much details, Orlando Bloom is great as Will Turner. So great to see this character back. That's all I'm really going to say as far as that goes. And of course, I have to talk about Javier Bardem as Captain Salazar, who is the antagonist of this installment. And boy oh boy, he did not disappoint me as far as villains go. He's definitely one of the best villains in this entire Pirates franchise. He had a really nice balance of having this menacing presence, and he did do some things where you're like, wow, he actually went there. But he actually has a comedic edge to him that I actually really liked. It was a blend of both. It kind of reminded me of Ultron from Avengers Age of Ultron, where yes, he has a menacing presence, but at the same time, he has a nice sense of humor to him, and and that same way goes to Captain Salazar. This is definitely one of the most memorable antagonists, hands down. He definitely stands on his own. He doesn't feel like he's another Davy Jones or another Barbossa from really the first Pirates. He really does stand on his own as the antagonist. And he does have a really, really great motivation for obviously wanting to go out and basically kill Captain Jack Sparrow because of what happened in their past. And speaking of the past, one of the things I actually really loved about this film is the origin story of Jack Sparrow. How we saw Jack Sparrow become the pirate that he is. I really love that entire sequence. Yes, the CGI Jack Sparrow, not exactly the best. I could give it that. CGI on him could have looked better, but besides that entire scene where we see Jack Sparrow becoming the pirate that he is, that was a very nice touch, and I did think it really added a lot. And Jack Sparrow's crew, they're back. They're back. Whereas on Stranger Tides, you only see Mr. Gibbs as far as Jack Sparrow's crew goes. Everyone else is back. The crew that we love from the other installments before on Stranger Tides, they're actually back. They definitely spend a lot more time on sea, which is really cool because with a movie called Pirates of the Caribbean, you want to have a lot of moments where they're at sea and going on another adventure. And I love this adventure. This was so exciting. That entire shark sequence that you get a glimpse of in the trailer, that entire scene had me at the edge of my seat. I was smiling. I was just going, oh my god, this is intense right here. And there's other moments like that too. This movie is thrilling. It's funny. It's magical. I really loved where this film went specifically in the third act. I don't want to spoil anything, but where we went in the third act of the film honestly was truly satisfying. It got a little bit emotional too, to be honest. That's something this film did successfully do too, when it focused a little bit more on the more dramatic parts. I did find those to be very well executed, and I did think it did work for what the storyline was going for. And just the world building is amazing. You really do get to see more of this world. It's definitely one of the most fun third acts of this entire franchise. It's just so exciting. It's definitely up there with the climaxes of the first, the second, and the third. I will say At World's End still has the best climax in this franchise. I definitely will say that, because the climax in At World's End, wow. But this is definitely up there as just one of the strongest climaxes. And something that I have to give On Stranger Tides major credit for, On Stranger Tides? Are you freaking kidding me, Tony? It's Dead Men Tell No Tales, you Lou Ferrigno-looking coconut head. Is the fact that it did not ignore the events of the other Pirates films. It did not even ignore the events of what happened On Stranger Tides. On Stranger Tides acted like it was the first film in the franchise when it's really the fourth, because it acted like the first three Pirates films never happened, and that bugged the hell out of me with On Stranger Tides. Dead Men Tell No Tales is the opposite of that. There are callbacks to this franchise. The events are actually acknowledged here. Will and Elizabeth are definitely acknowledged here, and I'm so happy about that. And of course, just Jack Sparrow's crew being back, and really anything else from the past installments, they're acknowledged here. Thank you for actually acknowledging that the first four movies actually happened. And I have to say, as far as the directors of Kon-Tiki go, yeah, their direction is really spectacular. And something that I did appreciate about this film is just the overall style. With On Stranger Tides, I didn't feel like there was much of a style really going for it. It was really missing just that visual magic that Gore Verbinski excellently captured with the first three movies. But their own style, like for what they were going for, it absolutely worked. And they did a good job of capturing glimpses of the Gore Verbinski style. They didn't make it a full-on Gore Verbinski kind of movie, which I would prefer. I don't want it to be like, oh, they're trying to copy out Gore Verbinski. No. Even though they captured like glimmers of that Gore Verbinski kind of style, on their own, they still had their own visual style to use. They did a wonderful job directing this film. I mean, just the cinematography is amazing when they're out on the sea, when they're out looking for the Shrine of Poseidon, when you see the ships, when you see the ship battles going on, the sword fighting, which by the way, any scene dealing with sword fighting in this film, really, really awesome. And Salazar's ship, when you see Salazar's ship, that is one of the coolest looking pirate ships I've ever seen. And the scenes with Salazar and his crew, I thought those scenes were just a ton of fun, and I really liked those scenes just so much. The usual Pirates music you hear in the other movies that you really did not get much of in On Stranger Tides, it's back and it feels so good. It just feels so good, honestly, to hear the Pirates score again. Like, it's the kind of score that really does fit this atmosphere, and I'm really happy to see it back. And without spoiling anything, how this movie ends, yes, that is how you end this installment of Pirates of the Caribbean. I know they're gonna make a sixth film possibly later down the line, but honestly, if this really was the last Pirates film, I would be okay with it, because how this ended was honestly perfect. Now, I do have a few problems with Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales, and I did say earlier how I did have a con with Captain Jack Sparrow, and that is Captain Jack Sparrow seemed a little more drunk than he usually is compared to the first four installments. Yeah, I'll even say it On Stranger Tides. Even though I was not a fan of On Stranger Tides, Jack Sparrow felt a little more in control with his drunkenness in that one that he did in this film. And don't get me wrong, I still really liked him and I still like some of his antiques, but when we see him, I'm going, man, he's just kind of like really out of control drunk. He's not like in control like he normally is. He's just kind of out of control drunk, and I'm going, okay, this feels a little bit out of character, because I'm not used to seeing Jack Sparrow being at this level of drunk. Luckily, as the film does progress, that eventually does stop, and it does pick up more to the Jack Sparrow that I love. And as far as the humor goes, I will say, yeah, the humor didn't always land. Definitely plenty of it did make me laugh, but there were actually times where the humor definitely didn't work for me, and especially with the witch joke with Kaya Scodelario. The first few times it was pretty funny, but then when they keep using it, it did kind of get old after a while, and I think they could have kind of calmed down with that joke. There is a wedding scene, and although I got maybe a couple of laughs out of it, ultimately it's a scene you could have cut out of the film. The wedding scene did not need to really be in this film, and it didn't really fit the storyline. Like, when you really look back at the overall storyline, what was really the purpose of that wedding scene? And there's times where visually this film can get a little distracting, particularly when you see Captain Salazar in the daytime. In the nighttime, he looks great, but it's when he's in the daytime where I'm like, okay, visually, yeah, I'll admit, he looks a little distracting. Overall, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales is a great installment to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Johnny Depp still continues to give another great performance. Kaya Scodelario and Brenton Thwaites, they held it on their own as these new characters. Geoffrey Rush was really great as Barbossa, and where the film took Barbossa I thought was very compelling. The directors of Kon-Tiki did a great job directing this film. This is just a very exciting and fun and magical adventure, and just where the film ended was just a cherry on top for me. I'm actually gonna say it, it's the second best Pirates film in the franchise now. As much as I did like Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, there's just something about this film that just made me prefer it slightly more over 2 and 3, but I still like those films, and this is luckily a major improvement over the mediocre On Stranger Tides. I'm going to give Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales 3.5 out of 4 stars. I loved nearly every moment of this film. It just feels good to see another installment in this franchise. So you guys, in the comments down below, let me know what you think about Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. What's your favorite installment in this franchise? And you guys, I actually did review the first 4 movies with Kevin Falk. There is a playlist on my channel, you guys, if you guys want to watch the first 4 reviews that me and Kevin Falk did. And if you guys just want to check out Kevin Falk's channel, I'll leave a link in the description down below. This is 22 Tiger Dude here, and don't forget that I will always have Tiger Power.
The review's over now, Captain. Can we say bye now?
No!
Okay. Bye!
Arr, you Barney lookalike! Get over here!
Ah!
Get over here! Get over here! Get over here! I will make you what the plank!